Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Sandra Lin, founder of KiwiCo, a leader on STEM toys, reinventing what play can be, educational and fun. Sandra, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks so much for having me, Jill.
All right, now let's get an overview on the industry itself. The U.S. toy industry saw an increase in revenue to $3.6 billion in the first quarter, a 7.6% increase over the same time period last year. What accounted for that growth?
Well, I think part of it is that we were thrust into a situation where we were sheltering in place with our kids. And one of the things that parents needed to do is figure out ways to keep their children busy, entertained, and hopefully learning as well. And so I think as a result, you saw a really big increase in parents leaning in towards ways to actually engage their children in different activities, including toys.
Well, that is one silver lining to COVID-19 is to get them more active and engaged. So tell us about KiwiCo and how it's been reinventing what play can be.
Sure. So at KiwiCo, we're all about encouraging kids to see themselves as creators and innovators. And so what we do is we give them different hands-on experiences. So it might be a science project, a game that they make and play, something that they engineer and build. And it's all centered around this notion of how can we encourage kids to become creative problem solvers so that when they tackle different challenges along the way, that they have the wherewithal, both the skills as well as the confidence to tackle whatever comes their way. And so we have been building out these projects and activities. So they are for our kids of all ages, from 0 to what we call kids at heart, really centered around this whole notion and this mission around encouraging them to become innovators.
Sandra, what was it like pivoting so quickly to a work from home environment?
Well, as a company and as a business, it required quite a bit of, I would say, needing to adjust to the idea of asynchronous working, which is something that we weren't necessarily used to. In addition to that, I think as a business, we recognized very quickly that we had some capabilities as well as some materials that could be really helpful to working parents. And so we created a learning from home hub. And then for the summer, we actually created something called Camp KiwiCo. And we pulled together a lot of the materials and ways to engage children that we had already kind of because of the assets that we had within the company. And we were able to pull those together and make something that was really useful and helpful for parents. And we provided that for free for them as a resource and as a way for them to be able to tap into something that could hopefully be helpful during what is a pretty challenging time.
So what do you think back to school is going to look like this year? And what is KiwiCo going to do as we get into the fall months? It seems as if the guidance is very disjointed and it's still, there's not much visibility into what fall 2020 is going to look like.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to school is going to look very different depending on the family, depending on the child. And as we know, there are different types of mandates coming out in terms of guidance around schooling. And so certainly there will be some schools who are going to be open and children will be going back to school as they may in typical falls. And then there are a slew of students who are either going to choose to homeschool or are going to have to be learning remotely. And so I think this poses, of course, a tremendous number of challenges in any respect. So whether it's going to school and the support that teachers need and that students need, or even learning from home and the support that, again, both those parties, in addition to parents, need to. And so as a company that's centered around the combination of making learning fun, with something that's convenient and accessible to kids and parents, we really feel a sense of responsibility around, again, making content available, being a resource to parents and to kids, and really providing, hopefully, a service through the experiences that we provide through our products too. So we are pulling together materials and inspiration, as well as making some what we think could be interesting supplemental learning materials available.
Well, it's great to have a resource like KiwiCo, and really it sounds like the company's in the sweet spot with what's happening right now. And you had mentioned in the beginning, parents had to pivot quickly and find activities for their kids. And it wasn't just, you can't just put them in front of the TV or put them on a tablet and expect them to be entertained when you're looking at being at home for months on end. So it'll be interesting to see how consumer psychology and how work from home and family at home looks. But it does seem like KiwiCo is in the sweet spot of all that.
I think what we found even in the spring when people were kind of thrust into the situation is that they were scrambling for solutions and they are trying to figure out how to make things work. And we did pull together this resource hub and it was really well received. It was something that our team pulled together in a weekend, and it had tips for working from home while your kids were learning from home. It included really kid-friendly explanations of what was going on. So how do viruses spread, or why is hand washing so important, and making them very accessible to kids. And then we had a slew of just activities, so kitchen science activities, etc. And so we found that this really resonated because it was something that was really helpful for parents to just tap into. It was easy, it was bite-sized, and something that they could bring to their kids. And the kids first and foremost found it fun, and then the learning would come too. And I think as we're shifting to the fall, I guess the good news is that people have had some experience around if they are going to be learning from home, that they're able to take some of the things that they've learned and maybe play up some of the things that worked well and maybe try to get rid of the things that didn't work as well. We're all learning on the fly. And our goal is to continue to be a valuable resource to families during that time, because it will continue to be challenging, and we know that.
So Sandra, let's talk about the composition of the team. Is it a mix of educators and technologists? Do you consult educators? Is it strictly technology? What does that look like?
Yeah, so from an engineering and technology perspective, we really have a group of folks who are focused on the physical product. So those folks could be, we have some educators, we have some industrial engineers, we have somebody who even worked on space satellites and systems at one point. And so it's a really diverse mix of people who are working on concepting and coming up with these things that the kids engage in. The other kind of technology group that we have is really around our software. So we have a really robust e-commerce and content platform. And so the folks there include UX design, software engineers, et cetera, as well. And so both those teams have to be able to really deliver for our company to do what it does.
All right, Sandra, great to have you with us. Thanks for joining me on Trade Talks.
Thanks so much for having me.
And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.